Administrator for the government.
I ngā mana, i ngā reo, i ngā iwi o ngā hoiwhā, tēnei aku mihi mai o hā ki a koutou, nau mai, haere mai rā ki te whare kāwana. Kia ora tātou katoa. Distinguished guests, as you may know, our Governor-General, the Right Honourable Dame Cindy Kirrell, is representing New Zealand at the state funeral for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in London. I am proud to serve as the Administrator of the Government in Dame Cindy's absence. On behalf of the Governor-General, I warmly welcome you here to Government House today for this very special investiture ceremony. I'd like to specifically acknowledge Mr. Joe Harawira, Kaumatua, and Ms. Pui Wahine Tibble Quia. Today's recipients of royal honours are amongst the final cohort to receive Her Majesty's approval, and it seems only fitting that you can be invested with your insignia this week. Investiture ceremonies celebrate and affirm qualities as cherished in our communities, qualities Queen Elizabeth herself embodied throughout her life: selflessness, strength, and aroha. As we reflect on Queen Elizabeth's life of steadfast service, I invite you all to join me in observing a moment's silence in honour of Her Majesty. Thank you. Ms. Catriona McLeod will now summon the recipients and read their citations. After each recipient is honoured, I invite you all to join me in congratulating them.
Please be seated.
Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of an Officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Mr. Don Griffin of Carterton for services to tertiary education and sport. Don Griffin held numerous leadership roles with the Central Institute of Technology, including head of the School of Pharmacy, principal and CEO. He was instrumental in guiding the direction of pharmacy education in New Zealand. He was chairperson of the New Zealand Trade Certification Board and Authority for Advanced Vocational Awards. Under the Association of Polytechnics of New Zealand, he chaired the Forum of Chief Executives of all 24 polytechnics and institutes at the time. He played a key role in establishing the New Zealand Polytechnics Programs Committee and was its lead auditor. He was an external evaluator for the NZQA. He's held voluntary roles with cricket, rugby and bowls clubs in Wellington. Mr. Griffin was a director of the Medical Alert Foundation of New Zealand. Mr. Don Griffin, please come forward. Mrs. Lorraine Scanlan of Westport for services to victim support and the community. Lorraine Scanlan chairs the National Council of Victim Support. She has grown victim support services and led strategic planning for the organisation's 10-year plans. She was initially a victim support volunteer in Westport and was instrumental in setting up the Buller branch of the organisation. Following the 15th of March 2019 terrorist attack, she made several trips from Westport to Christchurch to support teams of victim support staff. She worked with NGOs and government agencies to secure the best results for the victims and their communities. She's chief executive of Home Builders West Coast Trust, which delivers social, health and well-being services. Mrs. Scanlan helped establish a community hub of agencies providing support for the people impacted and traumatised by the July 2021 flooding in Westport. Mrs. Lorraine Scanlan, please come forward. Dr. Ian Stringer of Palmerston North for services to conservation. Dr. Ian Stringer taught invertebrate zoology at Massey University. He contributed to the development of several key courses for the Bachelor of Science and Master of Science degrees in zoology and supervised many postgraduate students. He then joined the Department of Conservation as a scientist, specializing in terrestrial invertebrates. His research was largely based in the field, involving heading teams of professionals and volunteers that investigated endangered giant land snails and the iconic and critically endangered Mercury Islands tusked weta. At the Department of Conservation, he provided conservation advice, surveyed insect communities, and chaired groups of experts that evaluated the conservation status of all known terrestrial invertebrates in New Zealand. This, together with all of Dr. Stringer's research, has been published in scientific journals. Dr. Ian Stringer, please come forward. Mrs. Sharon Underwood of Whanganui for services to dance. Sharon Underwood founded the Sharon Underwood School of Dance in Whanganui. She's encouraged thousands of students to enter yearly examinations, with many progressing to the highest level of the American Jazz Dance Affiliation, AJDA, syllabus. Several students have continued to full-time dance careers. She's organised whole studio productions performed at the Royal Whanganui Opera House, with all proceeds from these shows subsidising her students into further education or trips overseas to gain experience. She is National Co-Director of the AJDA. Having initially been a technical examiner, she's continued to update the syllabus, organise annual teacher workshops, and deliver a biannual 4-day teacher and student congress. Mrs. Underwood jointly established Phoenix Dance Workshop International, New Zealand's longest-running and largest dance convention, held annually in Palmerston North and Hamilton. Mrs. Sharon Underwood, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Mrs. Jenny Gordon of Waikanae, for services to Catholic education. Jenny Gordon spent 25 years as a teacher, specialising in mathematics and religious education at several schools, including St Mary's College, Wellington. She coordinated the Catholic Family Life Education Programme for the Archdiocese. She was the first female and first layperson to become Vicar of Education for the Archbishop of Wellington, overseeing the operation of more than 45 Catholic state-integrated schools. She contributed to the incorporation of the Private School Conditional Integration Act into the Education and Training Act 2020. Mrs. Gordon is a board member of the New Zealand Catholic Education Office and chairperson of the Association of Proprietors of Integrated Schools. Mrs. Jenny Gordon, please come forward. Namula Uulu Tautua Leoa Joshua Robertson of New Plymouth for services to the Pacific community. Namula Uulu Tautua Leoa Joshua Robertson has held various positions with the Sinoti Samoa Methodist Church of New Zealand and is president of the New Zealand Lay Preachers Association. He helped revive the Taranaki Vaimoana Pacifica Charitable Trust. He helps organise the annual Taranaki Pacifica Day Festival. He organised contracts with Airetai Pacific Midland Collective to deliver whānau ora assistance for Pacific families. He's coordinated food and hygiene packs for Pacifica households and seasonal workers in Taranaki. He co-created a Pacifica health program for the community during the COVID-19 lockdown. Mr. Robertson was instrumental in applying for funding for the renovation of the New Plymouth Samoan Methodist Church. Namula Uulu Tautoa Leoa Joshua Robertson, please come forward. Ms. Kim Shannon of Wellington for service to education and the public service. Kim Shannon established and led the Ministry of Education's Education Infrastructure Service, EIS, which has managed all large, complex construction projects on behalf of schools and is responsible for maintaining and modernising around 2,300 state schools. She's overseen a major survey of all New Zealand schools and led through multiple challenges. She's overseen development of a 10-year strategic plan, stabilising the NovoPay payroll project, a school transport contract renewal, Wi-Fi in classrooms, and the Christchurch Schools Rebuild programme. During the COVID-19 pandemic, EIS worked to connect around 53,000 homes to the internet. Ms. Shannon has presented on earthquake resilience in schools to the OECD Education Policy Committee. Ms. Kim Shannon, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the Queen's Service Medal, Mrs. Wendy van Delden of Paraparaumu for services to music. Wendy van Delden was a foundation member of the Waikanai Music Society, WMS, and has been concert manager since 1981. She's organised around 8 concerts annually for audiences of 200 to 300. She helped establish the Waikanai Music Society Charitable Trust for Young Musicians and continues to run it. She hosts a monthly radio program on Coast Access Radio. She has taught piano and theory, with many students going on to musical careers. Mrs. van Delden is a member of the Manawatu Rose Society and has been a regular exhibitor and judge at Rose shows. Mrs. Wendy van Delden, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the New Zealand Antarctic Medal, Dr. Ian Hawes of Tauranga for services to Antarctic science and conservation. Dr. Ian Hawes specialises in the biodiversity and ecosystem function of inland and coastal waters and has made significant contributions to knowledge of freshwater ecosystems in both New Zealand and Antarctica. Dr. Hawes is a recognised expert in cyanobacteria, blue-green algae. His numerous publications include 107 on Antarctic ecosystems. He's applied his Antarctic research on ecosystems processes in lakes and rivers to New Zealand contexts. He joined the British Antarctic Survey in 1978, undertaking pioneering research into inland waters and melt streams. He joined the New Zealand Antarctic Research Programme in 1989 and over 30 years has led a series of research projects in the McMurdo Dry Valleys, the McMurdo Ice Shelf and on Ross Island. He remains active in research in the Dry Valleys and Northern Victoria Land. He He is a qualified ice diver and has studied under-ice environments in the Dry Valley Lakes. His ice diving expertise has contributed to United States, Italian, and Korean expeditions and research projects, as well as New Zealand studies on the under-ice marine coastal communities of McMurdo Sound. He has worked extensively with scientists from many countries on international research programs and strengthened New Zealand collaborative links. He has been New Zealand's primary link through research collaborations into the United States' long-term ecological research program in the McMurdo Dry Valleys. He has developed innovative technical solutions to the challenges of collecting scientific data in remote situations and extreme environments. He was on the International Scientific Board for the 2015 Conference on Polar and Alpine Microbiology. He has been on the international editorial boards of the journals Antarctic Science and Frontiers in Microbiology. He was appointed co-program leader of the New Zealand Antarctic Science Platform in 2018, where he has focused on advancements addressing the vulnerability of Ross Sea ecosystems to environmental change. Dr. Hawes has co-authored recent papers stressing conservation of Antarctic inland waters and protection from non-native species. Dr. Ian Hawes, please come forward. Your Excellency, the investiture has concluded.
Well, my warm congratulations to all the recipients. New Zealand's honours system is our highest public affirmation of outstanding individual achievement. It reinforces those things that make our society better: service, manaakitanga, and the pursuit of excellence. To our recipients, it's been a privilege to hear your stories. You have each used your talents and abilities to improve the lives of your fellow New Zealanders. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, everyone can be great because everyone can serve. You have all embodied this saying, and today your service to the community is appropriately celebrated. I urge the recipients to wear your insignia with pride at every opportunity, knowing that you inspire others by your example. On behalf of the King of New Zealand, King Charles III, and all New Zealanders, I congratulate you on your achievements, and I thank you once again for your service to our country. And before I finish, I'd like to acknowledge the family and friends who are here today. This is your day as well, of course. The recipients could not have achieved all that they have without your love and support. I and all of New Zealand thank you for that. Kia ora tātou katoa. Now, you'll see that on the back of your program, the words to the national anthem in Te Reo Māori and in English is recorded there. I invite you all to stand and join me in singing